Warm greetings to you, billionaires world over. This is exam time, and this is our virtual commercial studies classroom. And exam time, what we are expected is not to write notes. We are expected to answer questions. So today, my focus is on command words in business studies. Okay, A-level business studies. Okay, these are the command words that I think might pose a challenge to majority of the students. The first one, let me try to get my pen here. The first one that I want you to master again today is evaluate. What is expected when they say evaluate, and what is expected when they say discuss, and what is expected when they say analyze. Okay, so a command word, you are supposed to obey the command. Okay, it's a command word. So evaluate, this is a two-sided question. When you see a question that is that has this command word evaluate, it means you need to underline that key term evaluate. It means this is a two-sided question. You're expected to detail the advantages. Okay, you are supposed to detail what the advantages and the limitations of your decisions. In every decision that you make in business studies, in the business world, it has its advantages, it has its limitations. It cannot hold water on both sides. So when they say evaluate, you're supposed to detail your advantages and the limitation of your decision. So in a nutshell, under this one, you're expected to what? In a nutshell, you're expected to judge the worth of what? Something. You are supposed to pass a judgment, the worth of that judgment. Okay, without wasting much of the time, I want also to move on the other word, which is discuss. What is expected when the question highlights that you are expected to discuss? You are supposed to write about issues in depth. Okay, so you are supposed to write details, right, in a well thought out manner. Okay, it means it must be so structured in such a way that the examiner can follow your argument. So you are supposed to write something in detail, in depth. Okay, all right. Number 3, we have got what we call analyze. Right, when they say analyze, what do they expect of you? You are expected to examine in detail, to show meaning, number 1. So we expect the meaning there. We expect you to identify elements and relationship between these elements. So it's very critical to identify the elements of that under your analysis, and then you show the relationship, the link between these elements. Okay, let me move on to the actual details that I gave. Also, maybe these ones, I think they are actually simpler or justify. You are expected to support your point with relevant evidence. So when they say justify, it means you are supposed to just support with relevant evidence. Then you try to support with examples. Then when they say describe, I think this is very familiar, but for the interest of others, describe, you are expected to give the characteristics or the main features of the concept. And then the last one now, maybe on this one, which I think these are relatively easy, explain. Under explain, I think there are 3 questions that are expected to answer. The first one is why. Explain why. Explain how. And also you are supposed to support with appropriate evidence. Okay, so under explanation, I think this one is actually similar. You are expected to give the main purpose and illustrate with the clear relationship that exists between the concepts or the ideas that are being, or the opinion that is being given there. Okay, but let's get to our focus. Analyze. Okay, let me also be in a position also to check my time here. I think we've got 1 minute to go back and try to reflect what I've been saying. Okay, on analysis, let's move on to analysis. Okay, when they say analyze, there are many questions on these ones. I will show you. We are going to use the step-by-step approach to understand this. When they say analyze, as I have highlighted below before, you are expected to examine in detail, to show meaning. Number 1, you are expected to show meaning. You are expected to identify elements. Okay, identify element, the sub element. This is a chair, but a chair has 4. It can be a 4-leg chair. It can have also all the components that you are supposed to bring into into light, and also you need to show the relationship. But the focus on this one, I want you to maybe to know the steps maybe on approaching this one, a step by step approach. I think it's good. We've got 3 steps that I am expecting you to follow when you're answering the question when they say analyze. Okay, analyze the advantages of a centralized system in managing the welfare of the organization. Okay, so we're saying step number 1, you're expected to show knowledge. Okay, on step number 1, when the question says analyze, you're expected to show what? Knowledge. When they say analyze, you're expected to show what? Knowledge. Okay, number 1, knowledge is critical. But how do you show that you have knowledge of the concept? You are expected to show knowledge, therefore you need to define the key terms. It's very critical for you to show that you have the knowledge about a concept. You are supposed to define the key terms. For example, analyze the importance of decentralization. So if you identify the key term like the decentralization, you define decentralization. That's step number 1. So it's definition. Step number 2, you're expected to apply, okay, apply your answer to the case study. That is, you contextualize, okay, analyze the advantages of centralizing decision making. Okay, so it means your answer has to be aligned, has to be contextualized to whatever concept is being analyzed then. Okay, so step number 2, I'm expecting you in your case study to contextualize. Let it relate to the case study. Okay, without waste of time, we are saying you need also to, at the last step, we are saying remember, this is to analyze. So before you do the analysis, you are supposed to indicate you have knowledge. You need also to show you can apply whatever you have defined. Okay, then the last part is you are expected to make good use of theory. Okay, we have got theories that we have in business studies, Maslow, we have got the Herzberg theory, we have got the scientific management theories. So you are supposed to make good use of those theories, or reasoned argument. You are supposed to come up with an argument that is reasoned to support your points. Okay, that is on your analysis. Okay, and then let's move on to another command word, which is also very critical, that I want to explain in the next 2 minutes, is discuss. Discuss, we agree that you are supposed to write about issue in depth in a well thought manner. But how do you do that? You have got 4 steps that I want you to follow. Number 1, you are expected to show knowledge. And I think we agreed that when you are expected to show knowledge, define the key term to show understanding. You are supposed to define first, the key term to show understanding. Step number 2, you are expected to apply. All right, that's what I said. You need to contextualize whatever you are writing, your point that you are trying to explain, to the case study, to the question in the case study. Number 3, so this step number, we're saying we are expected to apply. Then you are expected, number 3, on step number 3, you are supposed to make good use of what? Of theory or reasoned arguments to explain the usefulness of something. That's step number 3. Then step number 4, for you to score good marks, you are supposed to do what we call evaluation. Evaluation, make good judgment that is well supported in, that is a well supported what? Conclusion. You're supposed to make a conclusion that is a form of judgment. Okay, you're supposed to take side this time to then conclude on your answer. Okay, I think this is what I wanted you to know. I think for any assistance, you can contact me, we can discuss, and we can have some questions that we can actually tackle together. But above all, I wish you all the best. As a recap of what we covered today, we are saying there are key terms that I explained: evaluate, discuss, and analyze. These are the key terms that you are supposed to take good care of in the examination for you to score good marks. On evaluation, I said it's a 2-sided question. Discuss is a 2-sided question. Then on discuss, you are supposed also to give a conclusion to pass on a judgment. Then on evaluate, you are supposed to also write on 2 sides. Then analyze, you follow those 3 steps which I identified that are very critical. Bye bye for now. Wish you all the best in your exams, and I know that you can actually do it. But what you need to do, be very careful, follow the steps, and we can discuss more and more. But all the best in your exams.